Take a deep breath, family. If we do nothing else today but get still within, get quiet within, the healing that we seek will happen. The good that we are seeking will happen. It's as simple as that. We can complicate it. We can theorize about it. We can argue and debate about it. But the reality is we must be that which we are seeking on the planet. Rabindranath Tagore, the great mystic, once said this. I invite you to say this with me. Faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. I have carried that quote with me in a lot of dark places, in a lot of moments of doubt and question where I did not know. I have carried that. Say it with one more powerful voice together with me. Faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. Happy summer solstice, everyone. How many people celebrate the solstice? I do. We've just had the longest day of the year, the moment when the sun was at the apex, and solstice means stand still, when it looks like the sun was standing still, and we had the greatest amount of light available on that day. You know, Susie and I often, around the 21st of December, get really excited, not because of Christmas, but because the light's coming back. The light is coming back. So there is a little bit of depression around summer solstice. That means the days are now getting darker than they were yesterday. But the reality is the light is always there. Yes? So I invite you to join me in this affirmation in celebration of the earth's cycles, but more so today in celebration of the cycles of our humanity. Individually and collectively, the cycles of light and dark and dark and light. Anybody have those? Sometimes it's a roller coaster in my life. Let's have this affirmation and let's say it together. We gather at the turning of the season as the light of the sun reaches its fullness. This day reminds us that no winter lasts forever, that every night gives way to dawn, and the soul's deepest longings are never forgotten. How many of you would be okay if you had a little bit more light in your life, whatever light represents to you? Sure, we all would want that. How many would be happy if we had a little bit more light on the planet as a result of what we do here today? I hope everybody's hand is up and say, yes, bring it on, I welcome it and I invite it. Of course we would. In order to experience, we have to follow the leading of the earth. What does the earth do in order to have that more light? It has to move. It has to shift. It has to cooperate with the laws and the cycles of life. And so it is with us. We must shift. We are the ones that need to feel the light and sing the light even when it is dark. Yes? Do you really believe that? No, it's somebody else's responsibility. No, it's God's responsibility. So we pray and we meditate, God, bring the light, bring the love. And the reality is we must be the change that we want to see. I remember the very first time that I ever was on an airplane, and I had a pretty sheltered life, so I didn't get on an airplane until I was in my late 20s. And I was for my daughter's graduation. My adopted daughter was graduating from high school, and I was going to take her to Hawaii. And we got on the plane, and I was really excited. I had no trepidation about flying. I was like, yes, this is going to be, I was like a kid in a candy shop. This is going to be amazing. But it happened that day that there was a huge storm happening in California where I was taking off. There was dark clouds, there was thunder, there was pouring rain, and there was lightning. I had a little bit of trepidation about the darkness, a little bit of trepidation about the storm. It was not a great start to a trip to Hawaii, and there was a part of me that wanted to say, get off this plane now. Marilyn just flew, and she understands about flight trepidation. We all kind of have it a little bit. And any of us who have ever flown, I got on the plane, and I was white-knuckling it, and the plane began to take off, and anybody who's ever flown knows that moment, that beautiful, sacred moment when you push through the darkness, and you're in the soupy fog, the dark fog, and it looks like the plane is shaking, and then you break through to the other side. I remember that moment. It's exactly what happened. Hawaii happened 6 hours before I got there, because here comes the sun, do-do-do-do. There was a peace that surpassed the understanding. It was a peace that surpassed the storm, that surpassed the turbulence. It was a beautiful, wonderful place, and I had peace once again in my heart. The ominous veil of fog had lifted, and all was okay. I think I wasn't the only one on that plane singing, "It's All Right." Do, 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 do. The sun had always been there, yes? The sun had always been there. It is absolute. It is unwavering. It had not moved, but I had to elevate myself in order to experience. I had to go to a higher vibration, a higher dimension, a higher altitude in order to experience that sun above the minutia, above the fog, the darkness, and the clouds. And so I ask today, was it that the sun was returning or that I was returning to the sun by elevating my perspective? Of course it was me. I had to elevate my consciousness in order to find the light again. Of course, we know Galileo, and he gave his life for it, told the world, taught us all that the earth revolves around the sun, not the other way around. But I think so many times in our spiritual paths, and especially in New Thought, it happens a lot. We think that the world revolves around us. We get to hear for the first time that we are blessed and beautiful, we are an expression of light and love, and then we start to put God into a thing that says God's revolving around us. The hills are alive. And the reality is sometimes we get it backwards. The light does not revolve around us. We must shift and move and stir and take actions in order to find the light. Yes? I'm done with those days of putting the light and the responsibility on anybody else. Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, said it this way. Let's put that next quote up there. Let's read it. The spiritual sun is always shining in the center of our being, whether we perceive it or not. Is it possible that the elevation we're talking about isn't about altitude, but it's attitude? Is I need to shift the attitude and I need to come to a higher place that the sun, that which is absolute, not the relative realm of existence, where everything changes, where there's darkness and clouds and fogs and difficulty. We're living in that world right now, folks. But I must go to that elevated consciousness, an elevated place and understanding that the light is not separate from me. I cannot be separate from that which I am, but I need to return to the absolute, the unchanging. That would be called God, call it love, call it light. I don't care what you call it, but I do care that we have a relationship with it, especially when life gets difficult. You know, we all have experience of the soul, seasons of the soul, dark nights of the soul. Am I the only one? That connects us. We're on a human journey, and things get dark and difficult and cloudy. A dream gets deferred. We've all had that. A door refuses to open. That you're knocked and knocked and knocked at, it's not opening. A financial, physical, or relationship challenge that seems to persist no matter how much we pray. No matter how much we meditate, it just isn't going away. And we all experience those moments that William Shakespeare wrote about in Richard III when he wrote this, together, now is the winter of our discontent. It may be on an airplane when it's storming outside. It may be in the United States of America when it feels like it's dark. It may be being a human being on the earth. And I think we are in that place right now, the winter of discontent. In unity and in truth, ours is to remember, not once in a while, not on Sunday or Wednesday at a meditation, but 24/7, 365, to elevate our consciousness, to elevate our perspective, to elevate our language, to elevate our feeling nature, to know this, to know that God is not missing. Spirit, goodness, light, peace, harmony, all the things that we are celebrating here are not missing. And when we come together and we gather as a community, we find those things. And maybe they exist for just a moment here, but then we take them out the doors. It is so important to me, and I know it ticks some people off when I say that. If the work we do in here stays in here, you've wasted your time. But if the work we do in here goes out there, and you be the light, you be the goodness, you be the peace, it's been the most valuable hour you could have spent. Yes? In unity and truth, we know that we must rise above the clouds of circumstance, of condition, of war, and locate the light again. We can get sucked down into the minutia, or we can elevate above the clouds. Here comes the sun. I will be it. I will bring it. One of the ways that we end prayers at unity is the affirmation, in the mind of God, it's done. Say that with me. In the mind of God, it's done. In the mind of the one, it's complete. Together, In the mind of the one, it's complete. That's not just a pretty theory. That is spiritual law. As you are holding in your mind, either in alignment and congruity with the mind of the one, or in congruity with the minutia and the fog and the clouds, so shall it be. The universe is responding to you. It's giving you exactly what you're looking at, what you're listening to, what you're focusing on. We release the words of our prayers and our meditations and allow the inner knowing, the inner light, the sun within us, knowing that the prayer itself was the process of getting in the airplane and going to a higher place. That's why we pray. That's why we meditate. That's why we get still, not stuck in the storm. It's one of the hardest things to do on the spiritual journey, because our human mind and our human ego is going to go, this sucks right now. Plain and simple. We can look at the world as we see it to go, what are we doing as a human race? And go, this sucks. And it makes no difference what side of an aisle you happen to be on. I am so tired of being accused of being political up here when I say I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Light is light, love is love, period. Violence is violence, and peace is peace. I don't know where that came from. This church stands for peace. And if you want to make that political, fine. If you want to make it political and go out the door, goodbye. Because we stand for peace. We stand for harmony. We stand for love. And that is not political. That's what unity in the Fillmores taught. That's all I'm talking about is love. Can we love more fully? Absolutely. Can we create more peace on the planet? Absolutely. And if we put that responsibility on somebody else, then we have abdicated our responsibility as the sun, as the light, as the love. I don't know where that came from. I got a little worked up there. It's one of the hardest things to do. There's nothing easy about it, folks, to be the temple of light in the midst of the storm, to hold fast to the sun that's on the other side, to sing to the dawn and have the faith that light is coming when everything else looks so dark. Yet that's what we are called to do, to sing loudly, to dance proudly, to live in God in love and not in circumstance. This is knowing that the seed is doing its work in the ground and not digging it up. How long does it take? As long as it takes. Our master teacher Jesus told us he was in the world, not of it. We are called to follow his example. We're having a human experience, but we will not be defined by it. We step away from it, find love, find light, find the sun. Here it comes the sun, do-do-do-do, and sometimes that sounds like this, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, until we find, I'm all right. It's all right. What does that require of us, folks? Call it out. That's not a rhetorical question. What does it require of you? Call it loud and proud. Yes, 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 yes. Here are my answers. It requires patience, surrender, and remembering. And if you came here today thinking that our job as spiritual beings was going to be easy, I'm sorry, it's not. Finding peace, being love, finding love requires us to surrender to love, to peace. And that means the ego is going to fight. No, I have to win at all costs. I have to be right at all costs. No, that's what wins. The fog and the clouds, you haven't elevated anything. There's nothing easy about it, but it's foundational to what every spiritual path teaches. Here comes the sun, and it's not missing, and never has been missing. It's not living in the winter of our discontent. That's the easy road. Let's moan and groan about the winter of our discontent and find who's responsible for it. And instead, it's living in the summer solstice of light and power and strength, of awakening, of faith and trust. As we sing to the dawn when it's still dark. Charles Fillmore writes this. Let's read it together. The highest expression of faith is to abide in the consciousness that all is well. It is living in the absolute, not in the relative. It's living in the absolute and not the relative. What comes first, the sun or the elevation of consciousness? What comes first, the sun or the elevation of consciousness? the elevation of consciousness. Consciousness precedes manifestation. Consciousness precedes experience. Consciousness precedes anything. Where is your consciousness today? Are we living in stinking thinking? Are we living in revenge? Are we living in anger? Or are we living in that which we know to be unchanging and beautiful? How long does it take to do that? How long? Call it out. Should we do it for a week? Should we hold that for a couple of days? Maybe a couple of months? A year or two? Let me introduce you to one of my heroes. You know him, Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela endured 27 years of imprisonment for fighting hate, for fighting apartheid. His winter of discontent was unimaginably long. I don't know if I would have had the guts and the courage and the faith to sing in a prison cell for 27 years. But I want to cultivate that as long as it takes. Mandela held to a vision, not only for himself, but for the human race and for his people. Many others would have surrendered long before 27 years. This is what he said. Together, I always knew that one day I would walk free. I want to follow his example and know that where we are right now isn't so comfortable. And we all have opinions about what's going on in the Middle East. But I know one day we will walk free, that the prison doors will open. As the song sang earlier, I sang earlier at the beginning of the service. Let me see if I can find that lyric. For all of us imprisoned, circle for release. For all of us imprisoned, circle round for peace. For God's sake, for our sake, for your sake, for your children's sake, circle round peace. That's what we do when we come here. He maintained faith not in bitterness, not in resentment, not in revenge, but he did it in reconciliation and possibility. We are called to follow that example. We're called to follow the Christ. That's Nelson Mandela, the Christ, the light that he brought. When the gates finally opened up, not only was Mandela released, but South Africa itself entered a new era of healing and progress. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. Something we say a lot around here is divine appointment. Have you heard me say that? You probably heard others say it because they copy me. I copy them. We copy each other. Everything is a divine appointment. You're sitting in a seat right now in a church with these ideas by a divine appointment. It's not an accident. And if it makes you a little uncomfortable, it does me to have to talk about it. It's a divine appointment. Thanks for keeping the appointment. Thanks for being open to circling around the ideas that we're sharing today. It's a divine appointment. It's divine timing. And the one that really gets on people's nerves, divine order. Say that with me. Divine order. That's the great cop-out that Unity people have, divine order. This is a public recognition when we speak these words of spiritual law. Divine order, divine wisdom, divine timing is an affirmation publicly of spiritual law and centeredness as the first step to manifestation. The first step to the peace on earth that we seek. The first step to your dream becoming a reality. The first step to everything. Our human mind, our human ego lives in chronos time. You know what that is? Chronos time. We are slaves to the calendar. We are slaves to the clock. It's all linear. There's a certain amount of time, and we put a timeline on how long we pray, how long we meditate, how long we know the truth before we give up. But spirit, divine timing, lives in kairos time. That's the time we need to live in. That's the time that Nelson Mandela lived in, is kairos, the divine appointed time. I want you to consider today that the universe is energetically lining up the people, places, resources, and circumstances for the peace on earth that we seek. Ever seen a duck? Looks so peaceful on the top of the surface as it floats across the lake. Man, what's going on underneath the surface is really, really working. It's like an engine. That's what's going on when we come together and circle around for peace. And we think nothing's happening. Nothing's changing. Peace is idle. God, good is idle. No, no, no. Underneath the surface, there is an engine of creation called spiritual law, called God. Call it what you want. And it's moving, and it's stirring, and it's lining up everything needed for the peace on earth that we are creating. Will it be 27 years? I hope not. I really hope not. Will it be 3 generations down the road? I hope not. But I will not give up because it's not going to happen in my lifetime. I will not quit because it's just easier to make an enemy. It's just easier to make you wrong. It's just easier to alienate you and draw a line in the sand. Edwin Markham, one of my favorite quotes, said, "They drew a line that shut me out, a rebel, a heretic, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and brought them in." We are called to draw circles, folks. I'm going to invite the band to come up. We are called to draw circles for freedom, for peace, for higher vibrations by elevating our consciousness above the clouds that currently exist. Fillmore said this: "We must relax and allow Spirit to do the work. Together, we must relax and allow Spirit to do. Spirit is doing the work. Don't give up when you're weary. Don't give up when you're tired. Don't give up when you just can't go another day because something's working beneath the surface. There is a sacred and necessary space between planting and harvest. Gardeners know this. A necessary space between planting and harvest. I've experienced this. There's a necessary space between asking and receiving. Keep asking. There is a necessary space between prayer whispered and promises fulfilled because the universe is making it so. Anybody study the hero's journey? What does the hero, Campbell's work on the hero, what does the hero have to do in order to get the treasure? I have to collect my people. I have to gather the mentors and the teachers and the people that are going to help me get to that treasure, and I won't do it without them. It's a necessary step on the hero's journey. It's a necessary step on your hero's journey and our collective hero's journey. Don't give up when you are weary. Find your people, gather around, circle around for freedom, for peace, for unity, for oneness, for understanding, and for compassion. That's what we do when we come here. Thanks for being a hero and showing up. The we that is this community is necessary on the planet right now. And you may have 100 different ideas about what happened yesterday in the Middle East. Suspend your ideas and let's live and breathe and have our being in the divine ideas of harmony, understanding, compassion, peace, peace, peace. Even when nothing appears to be changing, everything is changing. Yes? What is meant for us as a human race will arrive on the wings of divine order. Jesus said it to Thomas. He went to Thomas, who suddenly believed because he saw evidence of something. Well, blessed are you, Thomas, that you believe, but it's more blessed are the people who don't see and still believe. We need to be among those ranks. There's an infinite number of doubting Thomases on the planet right now. And I may be called a fool, I don't care. I will be the one that sings before the dawn. I will be the one that believes even when I can't see it, because I'm not defining God or my life or existence by the 5 senses, but only by the sun that I revolve around. And I will revolve around it every morning, every evening, every afternoon. I will sing gratitude in the waiting. I will give thanks for what I cannot yet hold. A little music, maestro. I will rejoice for what is forming, already formed in the mind of God that's beyond my view. I will praise before I possess. Say that with me. I will praise before I possess. I will transform before I touch. I will transform before I touch. I will rejoice before the sunrise. I will dance before the harvest. And I will trust before the doors open. And when at last the sun crests the horizon and the morning breaks loose and the peace that I have been holding for so long and the prison doors open up, when the light pours warm upon my face and on the human race, I will raise my view above the clouds and not say, I am surprised. I am surprised. I will sing, here I am. Here I am. Say that with me. Here I am. And in that moment, the universe will say, it's all right. We're all right. Do, do, do. One more time, we're all right. We're all right. That's our job. Know it, claim it, live it, be it, breathe it. Amen.